Good morning. So I've got my build tutorial here for my 6-portal gold farm. It's got 3 portals on each side, and you can run them independently if you don't need all 6 going. If there's lots of people online in your multiplayer world, you can just run 3 at a time, a little less lag. If you're sitting there to collect loot and get a ton of XP, you can run all 6 at the same time. It's based off of a pretty simple mechanic. I've got powdered snow buckets on an observer clock running some dispensers. So it dispenses the powdered buckets really quick, and this lava here is going to relight the portals as soon as they go out. So we'll drop down to the bottom. I've got water elevators heading up and down with a drop off at the halfway point if you want to. We'll check out our loot. We got 44 gold blocks in there. We'll see what we're at the end of this intro once we fire up the farm. We'll grab our tridents. We'll toss them into our trident killer here. I've got it set up so that you just push yourself down with the trap doors and turn it on. Trident killer's up and running, and we're good to turn on our portals. So we'll get both sides turned on, both trident killers running, and we'll get both sides of the portal turned on as well. As you can see up top, everything is starting to flicker. Mobs will start coming down nice and quickly. We'll get zombified piglins coming in. They'll come in at a pretty quick pace. And it's set up with 3 on each side and 1 trident killer on each side, so it can handle the load of all the mobs coming in. I find if you have 4, you're starting to get pretty tight on a single trident killer. Anything beyond 4 portals, and it won't be able to keep up. So we got 2 running. We'll head to the midway point, and you'll be able to see all of the mobs coming in, the portals flickering. You can see the zombified piglins dropping into the water streams. They'll drop into the water stream, get pushed into the center, and then from the center, they'll get pushed into the trident killers. Great little setup. I really like the way that this turned out. We'll head back down to the bottom and we'll check it out. See how the mobs are coming. We got lots of guys coming in there. As you can see, we got XP sitting there ready for us. And we can just chill right in the middle between the 2 trident killers and collect our XP. Down at the bottom, you can see where all of our loot is coming in. They're getting sucked out of the trident killers with hopper mine carts. And then they get spit into this water stream right here. You can see all the gold nuggets. You can see the gold ingots coming in. And you'll actually see the occasional gold block as well. Everything is feeding back into the water stream after it's crafted. So the nuggets get crafted into ingots and come up here, and the ingots get crafted into blocks and come up here. This is how everything is set up for autocrafting. All the nuggets are getting crafted into ingots, and then they're getting put up an item elevator into the top and spit into the water stream again. Same thing for the ingots. They're getting crafted into blocks, spit up into the water stream, and everything gets sorted up above. Pretty convenient system. Not going to do an in-depth tutorial portion for that, but if people request it, I can certainly make that work. You can see gold blocks and gold ingots going up the item elevator to get spit back into the water stream up above, right? So last thing we'll do, we'll kind of check out where we're at. We were at 44 gold blocks. And as you can see, 51, it's been crafting. So let's get our build going. We're going to start with our trident killers. We're going to get a regular piston on each side, offset from each other. Once it's fired up, they'll push the tridents around inside. We're going to get some glass. We're going to fill in the corners and edges, give us something to build on, something to work with. I like using glass because I like to be able to see what's happening. Take a dropper, put it in the corner. We'll get an observer observing the dropper and a solid block behind it, another dropper in the corner, and it's basically just going to do the same thing all the way around. Observer is going to watch for activity in the dropper, power the gold block, which is going to power the next dropper, okay? So once our trident killer is set, we're going to throw a trapdoor on the observer, push ourselves down, get our glass out of the way, put another trapdoor in so that we'll hold in any baby zombified piglins. We'll get a lever on our dropper, hit it once to prime the system. When we hit it again, it'll start the Trident killer running. Next, we're going to set up a tube for all of our mobs to fall down in on top of our Trident killer. I like to use glass because I like to see what's going on, but you can use any block that you want. We're going to go 18 blocks up from the Trident killer, so mobs have a 20 block drop down into our Trident killer. They'll take enough damage that a single hit from the Trident is going to finish them off. Then we want packed ice or blue ice where the mobs are going to drop down into the Trident killer. So next we're going to work on our path where all of our mobs are going to get pushed down. We're going to make a packed or blue ice path. It's going to be 8 blocks long so that mobs are going to get pushed all the way to the end without the water going over. We'll get a light source in here and we'll get some walls set up around it. As you can see here, 8 blocks of ice followed by 7 blocks of ice, so the water will flow from the end and push over and make the mobs go all the way to the very end. So next we're going to build up our walls. We want to end up with a total of 6 blocks above the lowest point of our ice, with the 7th block being where the obsidian goes for the portal itself. So we're at that level here. We're going to take our glass all the way along until we get to where our portal is going to be. We're going to put down a block of obsidian. Now the next one over is going to be our ice path. Our mobs are going to move along. We're going to want that one 2 down from the level of the portal so that the mobs can't get through. So we're going to build this wall up a little bit as we go along. We'll end up with our ice path set up down below, and even as the level of the ice raises as our path goes along, that's fine. We're going to have enough room for mobs to pass underneath, right? So we'll break one out, we'll get our obsidian in there, and all I'm doing is simply laying out where our path is going to go. So our obsidian portal, we want to be 21 by 21. So I'm going to build out until I've got 21 blocks of obsidian completely laid out, and I'm using glowstone for the corner, but you can use whatever you want, even more obsidian. Once you've got that laid out, do every single side exactly the same. We'll get our portal laid out, we'll get our spacing laid out, and we'll get our basic bottom of each portal laid out and ready to go, okay? Once we have the base laid out, now we're going to take it up to the top. So we're going to grab 21 obsidian. We're going to go straight up to put an edge on each of those portals, right? Once we get to the top, again, I'm using glowstone for that top block. And now we're going to go 21 out from that block. And we're going to end up at the very end of our portal line that we built down below. I'll drop down on the glowstone, 21 obsidian up, and we'll cap it off with another piece of glowstone. Now that our portal frames are in place, we're going to install our lava that's going to light our portals. We're going to start standing on 2 upper slabs. We're going to put down a sticky piston with a redstone block attached and break out the block that was holding it up. We're going to put a single redstone dust and an observer looking at that piston. We're going to put another piece of redstone dust, and it's going to start that piston firing over and over and over again. Once we've got that in place, we're going to put upper slabs all the way around. We're going to make a frame of this. Basically, we want the single observer looking down at the piston, and then we need 4 more, so we need an entire gap of 5 in between these upper slabs. Once we get our observers in place looking at that first one, we're going to do some lower slabs up above to be able to finish framing this in. I'm going to take some blocks to contain the lava. I'm going to put those in the edges. You can use any block that you want. I use glass. I just like being able to see in. We're going to put some trapdoors down on those upper slabs, and we're going to open them up so that everything is contained in the lava. And then we're going to add lower slabs up above to frame it in and make sure that everything is 100% spawn proof. Now that we're done setting up where our lava is going to be, we're going to go over to the dispenser side on the opposite end. We're going to put in a couple of temporary blocks. Now we need to get our dispensers set up inside. We're going to go one down from the edge and one over from the very corner of the portal. You can see where that dispenser ended up. It's framed to be in the exact corner, and put the powdered snow bucket right in front of the dispenser when it is activated. So we've got dispensers on both sides. We're going to get rid of our temporary blocks to make room for putting in our observers. We'll get those out of the way. We're going to put one more temporary block in at the very end there. And we'll put our observer facing it. As you can see, it's one block back from the dispenser. Okay, we'll head back to the other side. We'll get rid of our temporary block and we'll go back up top. So we're going to go back up top. We're going to take a solid block. We'll put it between the two dispensers, right against the observer. So when the observer powers, it'll power that block, which will power both of the dispensers. Once we've got that set up, now we need to be able to get up a little higher. We're going to add a sticky piston, and we're going to put our observer on top of that, so it'll be facing the other observer. Now, when this piston gets powered, it's going to go push up and trigger the dispensers. We're going to do the same thing over on the other side, get that all set up and ready to go. So, future Talon here. I was recording the voiceover trying to explain how all of this works and realized the way it's shot is definitely a little bit confusing. So I'm going to talk about the mechanics, and I've added in a setup where it better explains how this mechanism works. Basically, all we're going to do is we're going to push our observer from the bottom with our levers, and you can use any method that you want. You can use a torch tower, you can use redstone line. In my case, I use redstone blocks on slime blocks to push the observers up. You can kind of see that here. Those redstone blocks are powered all the way down from the bottom. Where I push an observer in, it pushes the observer up, and as soon as that happens, it starts to power the mechanism of the powdered snow buckets getting dispensed, which break the portal. Then they get sucked back in, and the lava relights the portals so that you can break them again. That's what causes the flicker. So I'm just leaving this portion in, putting in the powdered snow buckets, and shortly I'll have a better description, a better showcase of how the actual mechanism gets built. But the powdered snow buckets go in, and once everything is powered, it'll repeatedly dispense the powdered snow, pull back the powdered snow, and it'll allow the portals to flicker and relight based on the lava. Okay, so for the actual mechanism, here's how it works. We're going to have a sticky piston with an observer on top of it. The observer, when we trigger it, is going to get pushed up into another observer. So we're going to put a lever on this. We'll put it up in the air, and we're going to put another observer facing it, creating our clock, right? Once we've got that set up, we're going to put a solid block, and pushed up against the solid block, we're going to use dispensers. So the dispensers will go up. We're going to put powdered snow inside of them. We're going to power the dispensers, get the observers going, and we'll create our clock. And you're going to see the powdered snow dispensed out, breaks the portal, goes back in, portal relights, repeat as necessary. Okay, so we'll come over here, we'll get our lava in place now that our mechanism is there to break everything. We'll get the lava in, it'll light the portals, but right now the powdered snow buckets are sitting out and blocking the portals from being lit. As soon as we get all of our lava in, we'll head over to the other side. And once we get over here, we can sort of see how everything works. When we hit the button, it pulls in the powdered snow, and all of the portals are going to light. So now they're lit and they're ready to go. All we need to do is hit the lever. Now it's putting it in flicker mode. You can see the powdered snow getting dispensed over and over again. We'll do the other side as well. We'll have a look and see what happens. As soon as we hit it, you can see the portals going off. You can hear them going off, and there's the powdered snow block going out, and that's what powers the entire thing. It's a pretty sweet setup. I really like the way it worked out. So now that the mechanisms to make it work are all in place, we need to set up the arms to catch the piglins and funnel them in. They're always going to come out the same side of the portal. So all we're going to do is get set up with 4 pieces of ice and then frame the entire thing in lava, and we'll build up the walls a little bit to be right underneath the portals. We'll go 1 pass to make sure that they are all caught, and then we'll get our water streams in. That's going to push all of the piglins all the way down to the center, right? Once that's all set up, we're ready to have the portals go on and off and get the piglins inside and get them pushed in the middle. I like using ice as opposed to buckets, so we'll get the ice in there, break the ice, get the water streams flowing, and we'll have mobs getting pushed all the way from where they drop into the center. You can see that the water is stopped by these signs along each edge. So each arm will push in, but the water won't drop down below. It'll just push the piglins and get them into our Trident killer. So like I said, I'm not going to do a full tutorial on storage, but I want you to get the items out of your Trident killer. So down below, we're actually going to set up 2 droppers with a hopper on top and a hopper going into the side of each one. Another hopper on top of the ones going into the side, and then we have 2 more feeding into them in the top. So this is basically going to split the amount of items coming in to go into 2 separate minecarts, which are each going to separate them into 2 separate hoppers. So we're going to do some rails on top with an extra block just to put a rail on. Then we're going to do a rail in the middle. So now we can remove our extra rails on here, and we're going to be left with these 2. We're going to take some stone walls. We're going to put them on the hoppers up in front, and we're going to add our a little bit of a wall around the side to make sure the mine carts don't go anywhere. We're going to put the hopper mine carts on top of the rails and push them all the way forward into our wall. Now we're going to break the rails out from underneath and drop them down directly onto the hopper. You can see once we get everything kind of encased, the hoppers aren't going to move, and they're actually sitting, each of them, over 2 hoppers to be able to split the items across those 2. If we go down below, you can see the exact same setup on the gold farm while it's running, and we need to get those items out of the droppers. So all the items are being collected in those 2 hopper minecarts and feeding down into our hoppers, into the droppers. We'll go over to the side and we'll have a look at how it works. So we're going to have a comparator coming out of the dropper, going into a repeater, pulling the signal when it's detecting items out into the repeater, which goes into a redstone dust. The redstone dust is powering that block, and the comparator coming out of the bottom on subtract mode, make sure it's on subtract, is detecting that signal. We have redstone dust running into the side of the comparator. So as it detects the signal, it's going to pull it out and it's going to short circuit the system, which is what's going to make the redstone line pulse over and over and over again. Then it's going to go down another redstone line to a repeater, which is going to power the block that the dropper is on, which is going to power the dropper and spit the items out into the water stream down below. An important note here, you only need to do this setup if you are using 3 or 4 portals on a single Trident killer. Anything less, and you'll be able to just feed items into a hopper line and take them conventionally anywhere that you want. This system is only going to be needed if you're going to have a huge amount of items coming in that you need to deal with quickly, which is how this works. So the final thing we need to tackle is how to turn the system on and off up top. Trident Killer obviously is turned on and off down at the bottom, but up above we're going to need something a little different. We need a way to send a redstone signal from the bottom to the top. In this case, I'm using these slime blocks and pistons with redstone blocks on them to power the system. As you can see, I have it set up so when I flick the lever on the system over here, it's going to power the pistons, the sticky pistons that have redstone blocks attached to them, and push them down to power the other pistons, which are attached to slime blocks. Those slime blocks have another redstone block at the end of them, and they're going to extend out and cycle another sticky piston. The end result of all of this is we want to push that sticky piston that has the observer on top of it up so that it's facing the other observer, which is going to trigger our cycle of putting in and pulling out the powdered snow blocks. You can do the same thing with a conventional redstone line. You can use a redstone torch tower in order to get all of this done as well. I just happen to like the way the sticky piston setup looks. I kind of enjoy it. So that's pretty much the entire setup for the gold farm. I've got a little bit of footage at the end here just showing how everything runs. When you hit that sticky piston, it goes all the way through the system and starts the zombie piglins falling in. This is going to get you an absolute ton of XP. You can fix all of your gear. You can do all of your enchanting. You can get all the XP you could ever possibly want, along with all the gold you could ever need. It automatically throws all of the swords into a fire and gets rid of them. I think I actually use lava in this one. It disposes of all of the swords. You never have to worry about them. You can collect as much or as little of the rotten flesh as you want, and the rest of it can just cycle into fire and collect your gold. It autocrafts everything into gold blocks. You never have to go down below. You just sit up top, you collect your XP and collect your items. So I didn't do the storage tutorial on here because this was already going to get pretty long with the tutorial for the farm. But if any of you guys are looking to get a tutorial on how to do that, let me know in the comments down below and I can look at adding one in down the road. Let me know what you think. If there are any issues, anything that doesn't work for you, if you need clarification, let me know down in the comments and I'll be able to help you out. Hopefully this works great for everyone. I absolutely love this farm. It's one of the first things I'll build in any world that I go into. I just absolutely love it. Hopefully you do too. Have a good one.